Hello and welcome to the Non-Inkables podcast. This is week 3. I was going to post 2 last week because I was expecting that I would post one during the weekend, but it got kind of crazy. I was kind of tired, so I didn't. Tired mainly from opening new cards. So the biggest news, I guess, is that Ursula Set 4 has released. At least at the local game stores. And so that has been kind of all-consuming. For those of you who are watching this podcast on YouTube, I have some footage from pretty early on, I think, in our Lorcana life, I guess. We were still figuring out how to film and like what lights would work best. What angle, what camera, etc. So it's both, I think I am opening chapter 1 cards, and Brian in the little inset video is opening chapter 2 cards. And I believe these are the ones that we got from Hot Topic. And I can't remember, because I haven't watched this video, if this is where we pull the enchanted Elsa. So, I'm not sure. Anyways, so back to the stuff. So the past week, at least on the YouTube channel, I released a how to play Lorcana in real life video. That was probably the 5th time I shot that video because I kept remembering other stuff that I wanted to add or change. And so I think I filmed that so many different times. And then I posted a Ursula lore video. So it goes through, because Ursula's Return came out, and that's like all about Ursula, it goes through every single time we've had mention of something that might be related to Ursula's Return in the cards. There's actually a lot of the flavor text in the cards that kind of reference this Ursula's Return plan and stuff. And also in the all the stuff related to Ursula, you see like this purple seaweed, and then her other thing is like the black tendrils. And the purple seaweed you actually can see in some of the early cards, like the Duke Wesselton card and the Mickey Mouse Detective. So I kind of go through all of that and what I think the story is behind Ursula, the 2 Ursulas, because in the chaos reveal of the last of the set 4 cards, Rochelle had said that they've actually left us a lot of hints about Ursula's return, and so I wanted to go through and kind of find all of those. So I made a video about that, and then yesterday I posted a video of an unboxing. So it's actually from, I think Friday, I want to say Friday or Saturday I shot it. But my phone ran out of memory, and so it stopped recording, and I didn't even realize it. So it's kind of an abbreviated video, but it does have at least the part where I pulled the enchanted. So I was like, oh, good. At least I got that part on film. And then subsequently I opened like 4 more boxes, which is why I was too tired to do the podcast. We ended up going to a a starter deck tournament. And if you participated in the starter deck tournament, they were selling booster boxes for $115 each, and you could buy max of 2. And if you bought 2, they would also give you another free starter deck. And so I was like, well, we have to buy it. So we ended up buying 4. And then Brian was like, I don't need any booster boxes. We don't need to buy this. And I was like, no, we have to. It's a good deal. We got to get it. And so, yeah. And so I was opening those. And those I shot as shorts. So like 1 short per pack. And I added, so I've been doing daily booster pack openings on the channel. And those usually release sometime in the morning. And so I added a nightly one that releases at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And that'll just be the most current deck. So currently it'll be Ursula's Return. And then once we get to set 5, it'll switch over to whatever set 5 is. And then all the extra Ursula Return videos will probably just go into that daily booster pack opening. I feel like I open a lot of cards. And so I could definitely do 2 per day, probably even more. So in this past week, We dropped our daughter off at Grandma and Grandpa's because it was going to be a busy weekend, and it indeed was. So Friday afternoon, evening, we played at a starter deck competition. It ended up being pretty small, so only 5 people total. And I think one of them had just started playing Lorcana a week ago, and then the other one maybe like a month ago. So some new people we hadn't met. And it was random. And so I ended up getting the Sapphire Steel starter deck, and then Brian played the Amber Amethyst Madrigal starter deck. And Brian ended up winning the whole thing, so he was undefeated 6-0. And I got 3rd place, although my record was the same as the person in 2nd place. I think it was just strength of schedule, so the only person I lost to was Brian. And I guess my general impression of the decks is the hero synergy is pretty cool in the Sapphire Steel, especially with Phil, where every time you play a hero character, you just automatically get 1 lore, so it's kind of like having a goat. And then the Madrigal deck, I think if you end up getting all the Madrigal characters, like they have so much synergy once all of them are on board, it really pops off. I think the people we played, because they were really new, I feel like now I feel like one of the more advanced people, but I could see myself in them. Like there was one person I played, and I think he had just started playing last week, and so he kept questing and not attacking me, even though my characters quested for 2 lore, and his only quested for 1. And I was like, oh, that's something I used to do, where I would just be like, no, I just want a quest. I don't know when I should attack or not. But it was very interesting to see that perspective of like, oh, I totally remember being there and just being confused at how the cards worked and all that stuff. So that was very fun and interesting. And then, of course, I bought the 4 boxes. So I came home and opened all of them. And we ended up getting first, at the starter deck competition, Brian pulled a Cinderella Enchanted from, it was either like the 1 booster pack they give you to start or the booster pack that came in the starter deck, one of the 2, which is insane. And then he joked about playing it, and I was like, no. And then in the booster boxes we bought, we ended up getting a Sisu Enchanted, and I think a Queen Diviner Enchanted. I think it was that one. I'm trying to think because we've gotten, yeah, that's correct. Okay, yeah. I was like, because we have 4 Enchanteds total, but we got 1 Queen Diviner, I think, from the first 2 boxes I bought that day. And then 2 from the 4 boxes later, and then the 1 he pulled from the starter deck, or possibly that 1 booster pack he got. So in that competition, you could buy a starter deck each round to upgrade your deck, which we didn't really do. We just had the 1 that we started with, and we added some cards there. But we figured it wasn't like worth it because you probably will just get a common that you can play, and the likelihood of getting a rare or super rare or legendary that works within the colors of your deck would be difficult. And then the person Brian played in the last round didn't realize that the rules were that you had that you could upgrade with the booster pack, but the colors had to be the same as the starter deck. So he was playing the Madrigal deck, and then all of a sudden put like a Sapphire Pascal down, and then Brian was like, what the heck? He's like, you can't play any color. He's like, what? Because I think he's only played in Sealed before, and in Sealed you can play whatever color you want. And so he was like, oh, I didn't know. And then like somebody else joked about how he like would get an automatic win for the game they played together because that guy should be DQ'd because he didn't follow the rules, and then he got so mad. But he didn't end up getting disqualified. It was pretty casual. So everyone was like, whatever, it's fine. You didn't know, but you can't play that card. You got to take that card out. And then I think in between, that came out, I think, in game 1. So in between game 2, he redid his deck so that it was all 2 colors. But it was pretty funny. And then Saturday we went and played at Games at Berkeley, which is a game store that we hadn't been to. It's very large. Like the location is very big, and that game, it was a seal tournament. It was sponsored by 2 real estate agents. And so after each round, you got to spin the wheel, and then you could either get like, they did a drawing for like a gift card and a drawing for like free entry to league night. And so you could win either that, or you could win candy, or they had a grab bag basically with booster packs from all the sets. The interesting thing was that tournament was best of 1. So I've never played in best of 1 before, and I don't like it. I feel like it just puts more emphasis on luck and not necessarily how well you play. So it's just based on whether or not you get the whether or not you win the dice roll, and then if you get the cards that you need. So in that one, I placed 4th. My record was 3-1. It was out of 23 people. I think Brian placed 9th. And he lost to the top 2 people. And then I lost to, I think, the first place person. Yeah, but that one, it was also pretty casual because you didn't win anything for winning the tournament. And then Brian ended up winning the gift card. So I think someone else named Brian won the free entry to league night, and then my Brian won the gift card. So I was like, oh, really, we won, even though in the tournament we did it. But yeah, best of 1 is so interesting and different. And yeah, I ended up pulling no legendary cards at all. And I think the game that I lost, my characters got taken out by Piglet. Although now thinking back, because of what happened on Sunday's tournament, I don't even know if I need to look if the way that Piglet took me out was even allowed. So, oh no, it was fine. Okay. Maybe it wasn't Piglet. I don't remember. But I just, yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't get any legendary cards. And this guy had like 2 Piglets and something else. And I was like, okay, I lose. And then Sunday, we played in another sealed event that was best of 3. Thank goodness. And then I think it was out of, I want to say 10 people. I placed 3rd and Brian placed 4th. We both just lost to 1 person. I think the 1st and 2nd place people. It was actually out of 12 people. Yeah. And so for that one, you win a booster pack per round that you win, and then you can also win a pin. So it's 3 rounds of best of 3. And in that tournament is when we really, we found out some stuff about the cards. So someone was playing Phil. Someone was playing, was it Phil? No, it was, they tried to play a double Ling against me. And so Ling gives your hero characters +1 attack. And then they tried to attack me with Phil. But Phil is not a hero. And so Ling's effect doesn't work. And so they were like, oh, it trades. And I was like, no, it doesn't. And they're like, what? And then I think there was another game where they tried to use Imperial Bow. But you can only use that on hero characters. So that didn't work. And then I think that led to the realization the person I was playing against, he had played in a tournament the day before, like a seal tournament, and he had been just like steamrolled by somebody using Imperial Bow to take out his characters constantly. And turns out it was not a seal, it was a draft. And turns out probably that shouldn't have happened because that person did not have all hero characters. So it made us really read all of the cards way more in detail because we were playing a lot of them incorrectly because we weren't reading very carefully. But that tournament was pretty fun just because of the people there. So that's kind of like our weekend, very tournament heavy. And then upcoming for this week, today I'm gonna play in Mishi Monday, which is online. It's every Monday through Play Lorcana. Let me see the official name, playlorcanatcg.com. And so you sign up there and it pairs you and all that stuff. And then you play on Pixelborn. And this Mishi Monday, part of the reason why I really wanted to play is because they're doing only up to set 3. So it's kind of to help people prepare for Atlanta this weekend. And so it's only set up to set 3 is legal. You can't use set 4, and it's going to be best of 2. And so I was like, I really finally got my Ruby Amethyst deck for set 3 tuned, and I felt like I didn't get to really use it once it had been like properly edited. And so this is an opportunity for me to play it edited. And then tomorrow we're going to go to a constructed tournament at another local TCG that we haven't played at before. And so that will be set 4 legal. So I think Brian is going to play Emerald Steel. And then I am not sure what I'm going to play. If I'm going to do like an updated Ruby Amethyst, or if I'm going to play Ruby Sapphire. It kind of also depends on what cards we have, because I think currently the Ruby Sapphire deck I've been playing on Pixelborn, I don't have enough Sisus. Because we really only have one Sisu, and then we have an enchanted Sisu, and I need a third Sisu, but that's like, I don't want to play the enchanted Sisu, so I may just do an updated Ruby Amethyst deck. And then I'm planning maybe to go to a sealed tournament on Thursday at another local game store / cafe. It's called Victory Point Cafe. It's in Berkeley. It is like, I think it's a lot of board games and stuff. The game store part is pretty small. It's just a couple of shelves, but it's like a big cafe, and they also have like alcohol, I think, at nighttime, although not at the Lorcana events specifically. Like, that's written online. I don't know why. But I'm thinking about playing. It does start at like 7 and goes to like 11 p.m., which is kind of late to be walking around Berkeley late at night. I'm not sure how the parking situation is going to be, so I'm not sure if I'm going to go to that, because by the time I get home, it's going to be like close to midnight. Although this week I am not working at all. I was going to go to a conference down in San Diego, and then kind of canceled it a month or 2 ago, but never. I just left my vacation time there. And so it actually worked out perfectly, because now I have more time to work on my deck, run things, test things in Pixelborn, and do more content for the YouTube channel. So yeah, it actually ended up working perfectly. And I'm like, should I take every week after the new set releases off? Like maybe a little before and a little after? I don't know. I'm definitely considering it. And then also another thing I'm considering, which may be a little crazy, is going to Disneyland. So not for set 5, because that's the same time as D23, and we ended up not getting tickets to D23 because one, I'm not a D23, like I'm part of the free membership for the club, but not a gold member, and so we didn't have early access to tickets. And then I think by the time the regular tickets went up, only Sunday was available, so not going to that. Also, the week before, we're going to Gen Con, and so I was like, oh, that's like 2 weekends in a row. So we're not going to Disney for set 5, but I'm planning, hopefully, to go to Disneyland for set 6. So my plan is to go to Disney like the week before. During the week, we'll just do Disneyland and California Adventure and stuff. And I think it's also the same time as their like holiday food comes out. And then that Friday, we'll just go buy stuff and then leave later that day to come back home. So that's my plan for November, at least. And yeah, so hopefully that way we can get all the things. So this time we were able to get a Illumineers quest when I went to go buy stuff. I went at like like 1 or 2 p.m. on Friday. And I think the only reason why I got it is because everybody else works normal hours. And so we got an Illumineers quest, and then I bought 2 boxes. because I feel like whenever I buy one box, I don't get an enchanted, but if I buy at least 2 boxes, I'll get an enchanted. And so I bought 2 boxes and ended up getting a Queen Diviner enchanted. So we currently have that one Queen enchanted from the first 2 boxes, the Cinderella enchanted that Brian pulled out of from that starter deck tournament, and then another Queen Diviner enchanted plus a Sisu enchanted that we got from the 4 boxes that we bought after the starter deck tournament. And currently we haven't bought any more boxes. We do have a case coming eventually. We pre-ordered it like a long time ago. There was some sort of crazy deal where I think it ended up being like $107 a box or something insane. It was like some discount plus another discount type thing. And so I still want to buy more boxes because we need more Diablos and more Sisus. But also, I don't know. I think after being able to find deals for all the other chapters, I'm a little hesitant to buy boxes at MSRP. And I'm like, maybe I should just wait until the 31st. Although the last time when Inkland's released, I went to like Barnes & Nobles and Hot Topic and stuff when the day it was supposed to be mass release, and none of them had anything. They were like, oh, we get it from a third-party vendor, so we're not going to have any stock. And so I don't know if it's even worth it to go try to get it this time. Maybe I'll just make some phone calls and see. And so one of the people we were talking to at one of the seal tournaments, they say that usually per release they buy 3 cases. That's like their standard because they're trying to make 3 play sets. Whereas Brian and I were trying to make 2 play sets plus 1 master set of foils. But also anytime I see a deal, I always buy stuff. I recently bought a case of first chapter because it ended up being like less than $200 a box. And I did buy it from an international card store, but they're in English. So, yeah, waiting on that. I'm pretty excited. I hope there's an else in there, but it's okay if there's not. And so, yeah. And then, and in terms of like set 4, I feel like the cards are so new that everyone's just trying to adjust to them. And I think right now it's in like a weird time because a lot of the people who usually make content are getting ready for Lil and Atlanta. So what are they called? Lorcana Game Championships, whatever. They're getting ready for that, and in that only set 3 is legal, and so then they are all just kind of on pause, I feel like. Not really like making new decks with set 4 stuff, or maybe less than they would be if they were not going to go compete. And so, yeah, there's like a couple people who are still making decks for set 4 right now, but it's kind of weird. So I've been playing on Pixelborn. I played a couple games on Pixelborn, and I've seen a lot of Amber, Ruby, Mufasa decks. A lot of Emerald Steel, a lot of Ruby, Sapphire, a little bit of Amethyst Steel, but not really. And so it's kind of, I don't know, like undecided, hard to tell what is going to be in the new meta. So Brian is making a Emerald Steel Bucky deck with Diablo in it. And he says it's been working pretty well for him. And I am... Oh, and then he also made an Amber Steel Heroes deck, basically utilizing Phil and then just playing a lot of hero characters because a lot of the singers and other cards in the Amber Steel deck are already heroes, so he didn't have to make that many adjustments besides adding Phil. And I did play against him one time with that deck, and I think he had Phil on the board. It was like later, and he ended up just playing like, I don't know, like 5 1-drop heroes and got 5 lore that way. And then I am working on a Ruby Amethyst update just because I think that those are the cards that we have that I can play for the constructed tournament tomorrow. And so I think I'm going to add in Isabella because she's evasive and quests, and then everything else can attack. So kind of like replacing the Minnie Mouse and maybe the Peter Pan Shadow I had in my deck. And then also adding in, I was thinking about adding in that 2-drop Flynn Rider because he's like so Flynn Rider, he's 2 drops. It's Flynn Rider Frenemy. It says at the start of your turn, if you have a character in play with more attack than each opposing character, gain 3 lore. And I feel like that is pretty easy with the Ruby Amethyst deck because you have like Snake, who's a 3/3 and a 2-drop, and I think the only thing that's just as strong is a Smee. And then when you get to 3-drop, you have the Fox, and that's a 4/3. And you have Maui, who's a 6/5. So all things that have pretty strong attack compared to other characters with the same cost. And so I'm thinking about testing that out. And then I'm wondering whether or not I should put in Sisu. So Sisu, the big Sisu gets rid of characters that are 2 attack or less. And that would be helpful because it would get rid of things like Belle and Hiram and I think Rapunzel, gifted with healing, who quests for 2. So all those things that are more like healers or support, it would get rid of all those characters without getting rid of your own characters. Yeah, so I'm thinking about that. Although I do need to pull more Sisu cards if I want to play that. If I want to put more than 1 Sisu in my deck because I'm not playing the Enchanted Sisu. And then the other thing I'm toying around with is a Ruby Sapphire deck. So I was using the Zan Syed, nope, not Zan Syed. I was using the Savige one. Okay, so his name is spelled Savjz, right? And I know that he is called Savige because that is what people have called him when he's been a guest on other people's podcasts and stuff. But I didn't hear his name at first, so it was very different in my head. So in my head, he is Sav space Jay-Z, which I know is not his name, but every time I think of him, I think Sav Jay-Z, and then I have to correct myself before I speak to say Savige. But yeah, I was using his Ruby Amethyst. Ruby Amethyst. I was using his Ruby Sapphire deck, and it was not going great. So then I switched over to his Sapphire Steel deck, which I think went better for me, in terms of like win rate at least. So hopefully, I don't know. I do like Sapphire Steel, but sometimes when you play hyper aggro, it just really dies. And then I found they posted on Inkdex the deck list. They had a tournament, I think in Germany recently, that the top 4 was 3 Ruby Sapphire decks and 1 Emerald Steel deck. So I was like, oh, I'll just try out one of the Ruby Sapphire decks from that competition. But like the top 2, one had 65 cards and one had 62 cards. And I was like, no, I want a deck that has 60 cards only. And so then 3rd place had 60 cards. So I just took that deck, and it's got like Brawl, it's got the little Sisu, it's got the big Sisu. It's got Maleficent Dragon, and then it's on the blue side, it's got like Ice Block, Popsicle, One Jump Ahead, Scuttle, Fishbone, Belle, Grammatala, Hiram. It's got that Ariel treasure collector that has Ward, and then quests for 3 unless you have more items, then it quests for 5, and it has Lucky Dimes, Tamatoa, etc. I have edited that deck because it only had Madame Medusas and no Lady Tremaines, and I feel like in the games that I played, I would have really benefited from having Lady Tremaine there to kind of help. I could have Lady Tremaine to Tamatoa or their Madame Medusa, you know. And unfortunately, I didn't draw the Ice Block in order to lower their character's attack. So yeah, I'm going to be testing that as well. Although I can't play that tomorrow either because we don't have enough Sisus. But maybe I can take it out and put like a Scar Vicious Cheater there, or just another Be Prepared. Yeah, so I'm very undecided about what I'm going to play tomorrow at this Constructor Championship. It's also a store we've never played at, so I have no idea what their meta is. I don't know if their people even have the new cards. I don't know how the new cards do against the old cards, you know. There's just so many unknowns, I suppose. And then I have been looking into, because I want to play in a league. I feel like that would be fun, because the idea of playing like a theme deck or like a theme deck around a movie or like a villain deck or something like that would be super fun. But if I'm playing in a tournament, I want to win. And so I don't feel like the tournament is the right place, but I think League would be the perfect place to play that. I haven't figured out where I would want to do League. There's one place around us that does League on Mondays, and then I think the other place does them on Thursdays. So potentially I could go to one of those. I think the Thursday one is probably a little bit easier, but it's kind of like my schedule comes out. I mean, I make my schedule for work, but it comes out like months in advance. So I have to kind of plan months in advance. And right now it's looking like Thursdays I'll probably be good to go to a league. Yeah, and then it's kind of hard to find out online when the league is and when like the start date is, because I feel like with the new sets it always like starts and then there's like a 12-week period and then it's like a new one. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right place. Maybe I should just ask on Discord and, you know, just ask for help. Stop just wondering. And so, yeah, that is kind of what's up with our decks right now. Super in flux, trying out a lot of different things. I'm probably going to play Ruby something. And then Brian's going to play something steel, probably green steel. He thinks, and I think that probably suits his personality the best. He likes it when other people have no cards because he's a Slytherin. And if you haven't watched my Hogwarts Ink video, Emerald is definitely Slytherin vibes, and he is definitely Slytherin in his house and also in his vibes. And then I'm technically a Ravenclaw, which I said was Sapphire. But I feel like the ADHD also makes it hard to manage all those resources. And so I do also like Ruby Amethyst because I like the Ruby of attack, attack. That's always my thing. I'm always like, attack, attack. I'm going to attack you. And yeah. And I'm just thinking like standout cards from Sealed. One of the standout cards was surprisingly Great Stone Dragon. So it's a sapphire item and it lets you put a character card from your discard into your ink. And I think that that is a very good mechanic because then you're not putting it from your hands. You're not decreasing your hand size. And then you're not doing it from your deck either. And so like you know what you're putting in your ink. And so, yeah, it's like giving those discard cards a second life almost. Especially in like a deck where maybe you have like one of a certain character, and then what if you inked it? Because you put like the top card into your ink and you don't even know. And then you try to go fishing for that ink, that card, but you've already inked it, but you didn't know because you fishbone or not, you didn't fishbone quill, but you like Mickey Mouse detectived it or something. But yeah, I feel like my playstyles, I really like attacking. And so I feel like I'm probably going to end up playing Ruby Amethyst, but edited, unless that doesn't go well at all, in which case I will just switch over to Ruby Sapphire because I want to win. And then for the everybody keeps calling them DLCs, so now that Disney Lorcana Challenge, that's what it is. So the one in Atlanta and Lille this weekend, and then there's going to be one in Chicago. We didn't get tickets for either, but also because my schedule had already come out and I wasn't free those weekends. However, I have left my schedule open for all of the future ones. So our goal is we're going to try to go to all of them if possible in North America. So there's going to be Fort Worth, there's going to be Seattle, Las Vegas, and Toronto. So if we can, we're going to try to get tickets to all of them. I don't know if we'll be able to, but ideally we would want to go to Seattle and Las Vegas just because my parents live in Las Vegas, and so we can just drop off our daughter there, or could even stay with my parents and we don't have to pay for housing. And then Brian's brother lives in Seattle, and so we could visit them while we're there. And they also, so we were recently in Seattle for their wedding and got them into Lorcana. So I ended up pre-ordering some extra Illumineers Quest on the Disney website. So they had it up briefly, and I think it's already sold out, but they had it for MSRP. So I ordered like 4 of them, and so we're planning to give those out as gifts so we can get more people into Lorcana, so we have more people to play with and talk to about it. And then I was like, this would be great because then we could go to these family gatherings and we could all just play Lorcana. Yeah. And then I think with Illumineers Quest, at least for people who don't like playing trading card games because they don't want to like attack other people, it's like at least it's a co-op game, so you're all on the same team, and then you can see their cards and kind of help them. So I think it's a good entry point for people to learn because you can help them and tell them like, oh, you should do this, and explain stuff because you have the same goal. I think with set 5 or set 6, they're also gonna come out with that like intro to Lorcana where you start with like a 40 card deck, and then it teaches you how to play, and then you can add cards to it as you go until you get like a full deck. And I feel like after that a lot more people will play. And so yeah, I don't think I have anything else to talk about. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you have any ideas for future videos or topics you want me to cover. My plans right now, because I was going through all the cards for the Ursula lore stuff, I noticed that some of the cards have like rules of villainy. Like Ursula's card said, first rule of villainy, if you're going to be evil, you have to do it in style. And so I probably will make a short video going through all of those because we don't have a complete set of the rules of villainy yet. And I would really like to know the full rules so that I can be a proper villain. And then there's also a lot of cards about like the flood, the ink flood, and it seems like they're all looking for the Sorcerer's Spellbook and all that stuff. And so I will also make a video about that that I found in my Ursula deep dive. And then eventually I will post a video of us playing Illumineers Quest. But just to be clear, the first time we played, we accidentally gave Ursula 7 cards instead of 2. And so then she steamrolled us so hard. And I was like, I think I read the instructions wrong. Let me reread them. And I was like, oh, I totally did read the instructions wrong. And so we will. And then we played it again. But we used the decks that came in the box. And I don't know if like our draw wasn't good or what, but we lost. And we were playing on easy mode. And so we're going to try to play one of these days on easy, but with our own decks that we've made, like that we normally play for competition. And hopefully that will go slightly better. Because it's pretty sad. I feel pretty sad that we lost on easy mode. So, yeah. The cards for the Illumineers Quest look amazing. So I will release a video just to show everyone like the artwork from the cards. It will not contain the spoiler of the card that's in the gold packet, since Ravensburger really doesn't want us to expose that, and I don't want to get in trouble. And it's still like not mass release, so I feel like I'll just wait. But I will post those cards because I think they look so cool. The Ursula's cards. The artwork is all very like dark. Everyone looks possessed. They have like purple eyes. So I will post that up probably in this next week. So let me know what you guys want to see. And as always, keep shuffling. And hopefully you don't end up with a whole handful of non-inkables like me. All right, bye.